the morning so far. I don't know where you've been, but this is a session that I've been asked to run on video assistant referees. Is there anybody in here who hasn't heard of video assistant referees in the media, or is you all? No. Okay, so what we have here is a trial on, and it's around the world at the moment, to see if bringing video assistant referees will help. The referees will help the game, will help improve some of the decisions that referees make around the world.
There was only Gagliardini in the box, and he went towards the near post, one back by Cedric. He goes on, and it's...
So you'll see here that there are two players in white. One is in the onside position, and one is in the offside position. So the goal scorer was not offside. The player behind him clearly is in an offside position, but he hasn't committed any offence. So in effect, if we had VARs in this game, within 30 seconds, that decision could have been overruled and a goal given.
Into first half stoppage time here, the 35th minute of this game, the first time ever video review will be used. That is a video technician.
So this was the first time
VAR is choosing the best views to show our head official, and it leads
no hesitation
to a red card.
Well, it just worked right there. Obviously, all fast liking what he saw, going straight for the red card. No hesitation.
This is game Holland. You see that the referee is allowed play to continue. This is obviously the VAR talking to the referee. And so he's now looking at the replay. And when you see this, you can very clearly see that the attacker's left arm actually fouls the goalkeeper. And you can see it better from the other angle. So what you have is you have four VAR looking at. Clearly see here, left arm into the keeper. So what happens now is the VAR has contacted the referee and said, you can't allow this goal because there was a foul on the goalkeeper, and this took, I don't know, maybe 45 seconds to a minute. So that decision was overturned, very, very simply. So I think maybe in the next 3 or 4 weeks we will sign up to the experiment. So these were the ones in 2017, and you can see that in every part of the world. So England, Spain, South Korea, and the FA has announced that VAR used in FA Cup. So come the FA Cup third round in January next year, we will use the VAR system. And to add to that, the Premier League is looking to introduce VARs from the 2018-19 season. This all depends, of course, the FA and the Premier League and all the other competitions. It relies on the system working, being effective, and the match officials being trained properly. Don't know how many of you saw the Confederations Cup game a few days ago with a Colombian referee and a VAR from Belarus. And what FIFA do, of course, they fly all these match officials in from all over the world, and they have them for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before the tournament, and they've tried to train the match officials to use VAR. Clearly the whole thing fell apart in this game because the Colombian referee made a decision. The Belarus VAR told him that it should be a red card, not a yellow card. The Colombian referee then went and sent off the wrong player. So if anybody believes that VAR is going to stop every single mistake in football refereeing terms, it won't do. It's not a panacea. But what it will do is, if you remember the Thierry Henry goal on the France Island game, it will stop that almost immediately. But it will be interesting to see, because FIFA have said they want to use it in Russia in World Cup next year. Can't imagine the president of FIFA thinking that that was very good from the Colombian referee if that happened in the World Cup final. So we've established a university, and what is happening is that each one of these leagues and countries and confederations that have introduced VAR as an experiment all their various clips, all their information from those games will be sent to this university, who will in fact make a research program for it. So when we meet for the IFAB general meeting in March next year, then we will be shown exactly where we think we are with VAR from around the world. And there will be some very good points and there will be some not so good points. So they'll make a decision in March 2018. Although I do have to say, Infantino, the FIFA president, has really put everything behind this VAR program. So I'm not naive enough to know that he's going to ditch it in March 2018. I think we just need to get to the point where it's making the very best decisions that it can. So, and this is the really important point. These are live experiments, and there is we're actually on 8.0 version of the protocol. And as this goes on, that protocol will be changed as people find various problems with the VAR system that they're using. So hopefully in March 2018 we will have a protocol that everybody agrees should be the protocol going forward. Clear errors, match changing decisions. This is not about whether a referee got a throw in wrong or a corner kick wrong. It's very much based on match changing decisions. So that's the initial question that we asked ourselves in IFAB. Does the implementation of VARs improve the game? Because if it does improve the game, we should use it. If it doesn't improve the game, we shouldn't use it just because it's there. It's not to achieve 100% accuracy, because that is not possible. So the philosophy is minimum interference, maximum benefit. And what we found so far with the VARs around the world is they're interfering too much. They're interfering in decisions that are outside the protocol. And it is very clear that if it's going to be minimum interference and maximum benefit, we don't want the VAR checking 20 things again. Match changing decisions, we believe that would be no more than 2 or 3 per game. Sometimes there will be nothing for the VAR to do. Sometimes maybe it's 4 or 5. So, the reviewable decisions. First thing is goals. And the idea behind this is that when a goal is scored, generally it takes about a minute to get the game restarted. So you have all the players celebrating and whatever. So during that period, the VAR has got plenty of time to see if there is anything with that goal that is wrong. So this was 74 minutes 37 seconds when it started. And the attackers are celebrating because they've got a goal. The defenders believe that the attacker has handled the ball. The referee, the poor old referee, ain't got a clue. He's asking his fourth official, he's asking his assistant referee, and it looks wrong, but there's no idea why it looks wrong. So he's asking the official there, can anybody help me, for God's sake, can anybody help me, because it doesn't look right. Not easy to see there, but it's quite easy to see when we see it from behind the goal. He's put the ball in with his hand. Now that poor old referee and the assistant referees and the fourth official have absolutely no chance. What the referee is thinking here, I think, is... So that took around 4 minutes. What that referee is doing is trying to find a way to disallow the goal because he knows it's wrong, but he doesn't know why it's wrong. So again, VAR, 30 seconds, job done, disallow goal because it's clearly handball. This is what VAR can help us with. So it's also penalty and no penalty decisions. So this one is again in Holland. So you've seen the referee here has given a free kick outside the penalty area. The attackers believe it's inside. The defenders are trying to crowd round the referee because they don't want him to give a penalty. So as you can see there, that is clearly inside the penalty area. But the problem is, of course, is that referee didn't have VAR. So he had to give what he actually saw, and he believed it was outside the penalty area. And again, if we had a VAR there, within 30 seconds, we've got the right decision, we've got a penalty, because it is very easy to see.
Robertson in. Is that a penalty?
This is going to be more difficult for the VAR, although I think this one is pretty clear.
Got there first.
Mike Jones has awarded a penalty. There is no VAR in this game.
You can
and
see
when you see the
disbelieving
replay,
at the
it is a
decision.
clear
There have been a
dive.
few fingers pointed at Snodgrass too.
But the referee here, Mike Jones, he cannot look at that. So you can see that there is no
Did Dan pull
contact
his
from the
legs
defender on the
away?
attacker.
Was Snodgrass falling regardless here? Oh dear, dear, dear.
I suppose the only good thing about it is next year he will get a 2-match
Scott Dan has
retrospective ban
realised and
for
pulled out
the
of it.
simulation which the FA
And Snodgrass has reacted as though the foul was there anyway. There's no wonder Palace are incensed. No wonder at all.
So again, if we had a VAR, within 30 seconds, that could have been sorted out. But again, in this game, we didn't have VAR. So what people are saying is that VAR should be able to reverse clear errors, because this is a clear error. I can understand why the referee gave it, but again, it's a clear error. So the next one is red card. And notice there it says not second yellow card, because what we've decided is if you can review the second yellow card, you should have to review the first yellow card, which means that you'd have to review every single yellow card in the game. So what it was decided here is we would do direct red cards only.
Even Ochoa in the first half.
And again, you see a player going down, the referee's running behind him, not clue what's happened, bang.
Even Ochoa in the first half.
And it's interesting that the referee's actually stood right behind it, so he wouldn't see that left arm come and punch the player in the face. Again, VAR, within 30 seconds, he's looked at that, the player is sent off for violent conduct. So these are the sort of decisions that VAR very, very quickly will be able to deal with. And watch this one. There's no sound on this one, so the player's down there. Bang. And again, a VAR within 15-20 seconds has picked that up and the player is sent off. At the moment here, what we're having to ask the referees is make a decision on what they can see currently. And it's already people saying, well, you know, why did the referee miss that? That actually happened off the pitch. And it's not something that the referee is looking for. So he doesn't know what's happened there. So again, VAR very, very quickly will be able to decide. And mistaken identity.
Trouble again. Fernando Torres.
You can remember this one.
Eden Hazard.
Right, so he hasn't denied an obvious goal scoring opportunity because the ball wasn't going into the goal. What happens then?
Has pointed to the spot.
What happens then is the referee doesn't know who the player is.
Well, Andre Mariner here has decided that handball was... There is a glancing touch from Oxlade-Chamberlain. It might have been going wide anyway. The Arsenal player's distraught. Kieran Gibbs has been sent off, but it was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain who handled it. Well, this is extraordinary.
Now, the one thing to ask here, and your supporters, why doesn't that player just own up to it? Is the game too big? You know, is the winning the only thing that we're talking about here? Is there any sort of sportsmanship that we expect from players? But clearly, this didn't happen. So from a VAR point of view, again, 30 seconds, job done. It's a penalty, but the player shouldn't be sent off because the ball wasn't going into the net. So it wasn't a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. But you can see with the play.
Someone said, oh, it's named Chamberlain, it wasn't him, it was me, but the ref didn't believe him.
Is that right?
Yeah, and apparently Beth said, shut up, Walcott, it's got nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Legend does it.
But it doesn't. But the point I'm making there, it doesn't look as though he's owned up. Nobody looking at that TV screen would ever believe that the player is owned up. And it is, I'll go from a refereeing point of view as well. It is quite difficult if a player comes up to you and says, I've done it,
Yeah.
and you send him off, and then you find that it wasn't him in the first place. So this, we're just talking here from a VAR point of view. VAR, 30 seconds, correct decision.
Are the reviews just solely at the instigation of the referee, or
No.
can the team push on down?
Well, not the teams. The VAR can.
So the refereeing team will instigate it. It can't be an appeal by one club or the other.
No. This was one of the discussions we had at IFAB in the first place. Because there were people who thought, well, why don't we give the club or the manager 2 VARs so they can intervene?
Tennis approach.
The first thing is that not all managers are particularly scrupulous, and so what they would do is very much towards the end of the game throw their hat in about a VAR to virtually stop the game.
Yeah.
So what was decided that the VAR could intervene to tell the referee got something wrong, or the VAR or the referee could ask the VAR if he's not sure. One of the problems here is that you see that one in America where the referee has the option to review. In Holland, as an example, they don't allow the referee the option to review. It is all the VAR. Problem with that is that the VAR becomes more important than the referee. Because I don't think there's a referee alive that would be told something by the VAR and then said, no, I'm going to stick to my original
Well, you get a bit
decision.
fed up and keep being told by the VAR, you've done it wrong, you've done it wrong, you've done it wrong.
The problem is that if the VAR is right and the referee is wrong, the referee's finished.
Yeah, so.
So, again, as part of the protocol, we are having leagues and competitions that have a video review area, and we have some, like in Holland, who don't. And that'll all be fed into the university, and then that decision will be taken in March next year. And this is a really important part as well. We still want the referee to referee football matches. We do not want him to think, oh, I'm not going to make that decision because if I'm wrong, the VAR will tell me anyway. So the reason that we have some of the best referees in the world is that they make decisions and they're experienced at making decisions. And the thing about the referee makes a decision with a feel during the game. The VAR has become very clinical because all he's doing is looking at a set of screens. So we say the referee should always make a decision. So only the referee can initiate a review, so the 2 assistant referees can't, and the 4th official can't. They have to go through the referee to make the review. There is no time pressure to review. Interesting, the Premier League captains at their meetings said that speed was more important than accuracy, which is an interesting thing for them to say. So what we're saying is it doesn't matter how long it takes. So when you look at that Brazil game at the beginning there, that took about 4 minutes. But if the decision is right at the end, then if we've got 1 or 2 that take 4 minutes, is that really a problem? I think what we don't want, and I'm sure you don't want as supporters, is having 6 or 7 reviews that take a minute and a half each. It will completely kill our football. We like our football played fast and furious. That's the way we've been refereeing our games, is to allow that game to be physical and fast and furious. If you're a referee in Spain or Portugal, as an example, they're robots, they're clinical. Every contact is a free kick, every handball is a yellow card, because that's the way their football is played. Our football is not played like that.
Sorry, did you say that was the Premier League captains meeting?
Yeah. What we've done is we've talked to the Premier League captains and shown some of them and said, well, what do you think? And it was interesting that they came out and said that...
Can I just ask something? I saw League 2 game this season where in the first half, one team experienced 10 head injuries.
Yeah.
Just before the game.
Yeah.
And these are players using their professional mouse
Yeah.
to actually slow a game down, and there's some managers notorious for that.
Yeah.
So will there be something in the system that will actually address that?
No, because all that will, if you remember what I've just shown you there, are the only areas where the review is. Goals, penalties, red cards, mistaken identity.
Like, obviously I was about to tell you about it, when we went to St James's Park, there was the referee Keith Stroud.
Yeah,
They got a penalty,
yeah,
and for some reason,
yeah.
penalty resulted in goal kick.
Yeah.
But
So VAR.
they didn't miss it or anything. Was it another?
No, well, yeah, it was. Yeah, the referee clearly got that wrong. The refereeing team clearly got that wrong. VAR would have been able to deal with that in 30 seconds.
Right. And so what happened with the penalty would have
Been retaken.
rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
it resulted in goal kick.
Yeah. So like I'm saying here is the VAR in something like that is absolutely black and white. It's not an interpretation by the referee. 30 seconds, job done. Okay. But having said that, the VAR when it comes in England will only come in the Premier League and the FA Cup from the third round onwards. It won't come into Championship, League 1, League 2. Although it's quite interesting that Championship are having goal line technology this year. So I think the chairman of the Championship clubs in particular may want to look at VAR, seeing how the Premier League have got it. But of course the difference in money between the Premier League and the Football League is quite different.
Every inch of the pitch will have to have 2 or more cameras on it so you can see angles.
Yeah, I think what we've said is that there should be a minimum of 6 cameras.
Yeah.
Because obviously some places around the world haven't got the finance to have more than 6 cameras. And I think Brazil actually tried it with 4. I mean, they picked some things up, but clearly didn't pick other things up. So there is a cost to it. The match officials need training properly, because that Confederations Cup with the Colombian and the Belarusian, clearly that was a training and education problem. So what we've said is that, and I know the Bundesliga are starting that this year, VAR, live in all their games. And I think the Premier League have probably been a little bit sensible in saying, well, okay, let's let the Bundesliga run it free here, see what happens, and then we'll make the changes for 2018.
Who actually pays for it? Do the clubs pay it individually?
The clubs will have to pay for it in the end.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the 20 Premier League chairman, the finance isn't really an issue for them. Well, certainly at the EFL, it is an issue for them. So again, when you look around the world, it will only be the countries that are able to afford it. This is an interesting point as well, because you see from that American one where the referee went and this guy appeared from nowhere behind the door with this huge TV screen. I'm not sure how that would work at Premier League games. However, what we've said is that we don't want the referee going down the tunnel into a room and he's not visible. So he's going to have to be visible. We're having the debate about whether to put it up on the big screen. We're having the debate about where referees will use Google glasses and all the rest of it. I don't understand much of it, but that's the way it is. So what we're saying here is that it has to be visible. We can't have people thinking that there's some sort of skullduggery going on down the tunnel or into an office. So it has to be seen. And the final decision will always be taken by the referee. Like I just said, if the VAR comes and says, Neil, I want you to do this, and Neil decides not to do it, then Neil can make his original decision, but then he needs to be careful, because at the end of the game, if he's wrong, he's finished. Again, original decision, only changed, clearly wrong.
This is the chance they've been waiting for. It's Barry
So in this one, referee gives a penalty.
Had a long look at that, Anthony Taylor, and points to the spot. It could be salvation for Everton.
So what VAR does is to take the decision that the referee has just made to the TV cameras.
He got his team on the attack. Oh, he's got the ball. He's got the ball.
Right, okay, that's a brilliant thing to say. Does it matter that he's got the ball?
No.
And that's the really important part, isn't it? You know, we have these commentators who say, well, he got the ball therefore it can't be a penalty. You look at those, the red player then scissors the feet of the attacker.
He's gone through the player to get the ball, basically.
Yeah. So what we're saying here is, if Anthony Taylor gives that penalty, and the VAR is up looking at his 4 screens, do you think that that is clearly wrong? It isn't, is it? It's not clearly wrong. The difficulty is, of course, that spectators have a very partisan view of things. So some will think it's a penalty, some will think it's not a penalty. The point I'm raising here is that it is not always very easy for the VAR to make a decision, even if he's got the screens. Because sometimes you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm not sure. And if the VAR is not sure, the original decision should stand. That's the basis of what we're trying to do. So the VAR is, well, we have 2. We have one, like in the Bundesliga, and hopefully what the Premier League will do, that will go to one room. It's Stockley Park, which is where it is at the moment, and everything is fed into that one room, and you have the bank of cameras, and you look at it from there. What the Dutch have done at the moment is called, you probably heard it, man in the van. Yes. And what they have is they have a van in the stadium that has a VAR in and an operator. I think it is a good idea that the Premier League are trying to bring it all into one area, because it's so much easier to control rather than just having to drive a van in and out of the stadium. So VAR is independent access to and replay control of all broadcast footage. And this is really important. The VAR has to have the same video angles that Sky is showing to you and me, the public. So when he makes that decision, everybody has seen it the way he sees it, not finding a different camera that's behind the goal that shows something different. So it is replay control. The VAR constantly checks the play. So if you look at a VAR, is a referee. So he will look at lots and lots of different incidents, but 95% of them he doesn't need to review because they're not part of the protocol, and the referee has got the job right and the game moves on. So the VAR recommends that the review should occur. The referee suspects that something serious has been missed. You know, when you're refereeing football matches, when I referee football matches and something happened, you think to yourself, God, that doesn't look right, but I don't know why it doesn't look right. And again, the VAR will help with that. This is going to be an important point as well. So, referee, 2 players go into the penalty area. One goes down, referee doesn't give the penalty. Therefore, the game continues. The VAR very quickly needs to sort out whether that was a penalty or not, before it goes down the other end and ends up in the back of the net. So we're talking about that neutral zone around that halfway line. So the VAR hasn't got long to make a decision as to whether that is a penalty or not. If the penalty is given, game stop, no problem. If it's not given, then you've got a time constraint. And then you saw that on the TV screen. We just thought that that was good because they used it in cricket and they use it in rugby, so it appears to be the proper replay signal. So this was the American one. And what you've got now is you've got the VAR looking at the screen, the referee's giving the free kick outside the penalty area. So when you see the next few slides, you'll see the VAR in front of the screens that he's looking at there. So there's a VAR and an operator, because obviously the VAR needs to concentrate on what he's looking at. So he's now looking at those 4 camera angles that you can see in front of him. And on the right, you can see that there are 6 or 7 down the right-hand side in case the VAR needs to look at a different angle. So as you can see there, he can move things around with his feet. He's got a little, with his hands, he's got a little joystick. So these are the 4 things that he's looking at. So he's looking at, was the foul outside the penalty area? Was it inside the penalty area? And he's seen it from so many different angles. And when you looked at that bottom left-hand corner, it's probably the one that gives him that particular decision. So again, this is taking a little bit of a time, but is that, can football spectators, can they accept that it's going to take a little bit of time to get the decision right?
It doesn't matter because the game is stopped in that instance, isn't it?
Yeah. If the referee had not given anything, then you've got that time constraint where the VAR needs to intervene. Well, you see this. They've been looking at this now 5 or 6 times. So the referee's there, and he's got the TV signal. So the VAR has said, "You really ought to go and have a look at this." The thing here is, in America, these players seem very calm. Can you imagine in a Premier League game the players being that calm? So we're saying, okay, ref, we'll give you all the room you like and you can go and have a look at it. I mean, it's just not going to work, is it?
Isn't it supposed to be a yellow card if you approach the referee while everyone else goes?
It is part of the protocol, yeah. So obviously then he's come back. This player knows he's going off anyway because he's already coming off. And so what the referee there has done in the first place is to do that, to say, I'm going to have a look at it. Then he's gone and have a look at it, and then he's come back and he's gone like that and the red card. So he's made his decision from that VAR. I can't see the big screen working behind the goals in a Premier League game. So we've got to find a way of actually being able for the referee to have a look at it somewhere that's reasonably safe. Like a bulletproof booth or somewhere like that, done with electric, or it's got a little electric fence around it or something like that. So that's basically what you have. You have the VAR 1, and what we're saying at the moment is you probably need a VAR 2, because if VAR 1, if the referee hasn't stopped the game, and VAR 1 is checking something, you still need another VAR to watch the live football. And then you have the operator on the right-hand side there who is able to give the VAR all the information it needs. So the referee either accepts the information from the VAR. So what we're saying is, if we take that penalty, was it inside or outside for the handball? It's a matter of fact. The handball was inside the penalty area. So in effect, the VAR can go to the referee and say, Neil, it was inside the penalty area and it's a penalty. I have no need to go and have a look at that. Or it can say, for instance, if you take that to one where the player just came around and smacked the other guy in the mouth, that is a matter of fact. So he can say, Neil, green 4 has just hit red 5 in the face, red card. I don't need to go and have a look at that. When you look at the decisions like the Anthony Taylor one, and it's a matter of interpretation, then he probably does need to go and have a look at it. He decides to review the footage directly. Only the referee views the footage, and what I'm saying, the VARs are normally for factual decisions.
Somehow has got the ball back once again. Great chance here. Oh, the block on the line by Kuhl, but it was with the hand. I think Kuhl's in trouble here.
So the referee sends Kuhl off.
And Australia go down to 10 men with 3/4 of the match remaining.
And the Australian was trying to tell the referee that it wasn't handball. He hit him in the chest.
Players using this position would use the wall, and he's asking the referee to look at the big screen. The referee's mind's made up already. He's issued the red. I don't think there's anything he can do. But Kuhl is adamant because he's on the line. Oh dear, I don't know what he's arguing about. I do not know what he's arguing about. It's hitting clear on the arm. Ball's going into the goal.
So again, what VAR will have been able to do there is to uphold the decision of the referee. So if I'm VAR, because it was Roberto Rossetti from Italy, the referee, I could say, Roberto, that is definitely a penalty, it's handball, correct decision. And that is sorted out very, very quickly. Whereas if Kuhl would have hit him in the chest, then again, that could be very, very quickly sorted out.
Вверх будет подавать. Навес хороший. Удар 1-0.
So the referee is given a goal.
Настоящий капитан. Ну вот угловой принес успех. Гладбах показывает
Goalkeeper's not very happy about it. Look at it.
Но, похоже, гол засчитан. На 60-й минуте Боруссия выходит вперед. Да, рукой забивает, на самом деле. Вот это скандал, посмотрите. Отлетает мяч от головы Матео. типа и рукой штингер отправляет мяч в ворота. Вот она рука, видели? В грудь мяч попал, а потом в руку. И от нее залетел в ворота, судьи этого не увидели. Да, вот это да. Опять кап.
So again, VAR very quickly, 30 seconds, sorts that out. And it is quite interesting because people say, well, how many of these decisions are actually going to be? I think we've probably got around 50 clips already from around the world. So these happen in games. And VAR, if we get it right, should deal with them very, very quickly. Position of offence, ball out of play. So again, this is about point of contact. And in real time, it always looks better than in slow motion. What we've found with some of these VARs is every time they review a tackle in slow motion, the player tends to get sent off. Because in slow motion, the tackle looks far worse than it does in normal play. So basically what we're saying here is you should only really use slow motion for point of contact, not the severity of the offence. But again, that's part of the protocol, so we'll see how that goes. So play match fund, how does it go? So just pop through here, selling it.
And he gets taken down, and this one is outside the box. Ismail Elfab calling a free kick on the top of the 18.
We very nearly had our first video replay opportunity right there.
And it will, as all plays will, be checked by the VAR, the video assistant referee. He will then, if he sees what he believes is a clear error in the call, tell the head official that he thinks he recommends it for a review. If we do not see Ismail Elfab make a square signal with his hand, like the sign of a TV,
right, so
for a review, that means that either a clear error was not seen or he is choosing not to make a review.
So the square is for a TV, not a mine?
So also, one of the things that we need to make sure is that the communication kit between the VAR and the referee is good quality. We've heard some that has been really poor quality, we've heard some that has been really good quality. So for this to work, the comms between the VAR and the referee needs to be really good quality.
Will the TV companies have access to that like they do in rugby?
Sorry?
Will the TV companies have access to the conversation?
No.
Between, no.
Neither will anybody else. Although I do have to say...
Well, they do it in rugby, you see.
Well, they do, but I do have to say that I think eventually we'll come under a lot of pressure for people to actually listen in.
You obviously can't do it at the stadium.
Yeah.
But you can do it with the viewer at home.
Yeah. So again, you can see just how they're looking at this. We've already seen this.
Being in a box.
Right, so then what happens is that's the first signal.
So that means that
that's how I work my way
he will be going to take a review. He has made the sign. The clock will not stop. This time will go into first half stoppage time here in the 35th minute of this game. The first time
I'm not sure how we get first half stoppage time after 35 minutes.
That is a video technician. The VAR is choosing the best views to show our head official, and it leads
no hesitation
to a red card.
Well, it just worked right there. Obviously, Elfab liking what he saw, going straight for the red card. No hesitation.
This one's a really interesting one as well. So the referee here issues a yellow card in real time at real speed. The VAR is now looking at this, and remember there is no referee review in Holland. So there you are, so he's looking through his various screens, looking at all the ones on the left, all the ones on the right, try and get the best angle. That top left. Top left again, I think. Right. So the question here is, when you look at it in real time, did you think yellow or red? In real time? Right. What do you think now you've seen it in slow motion?
Just about red, given the height.
Yeah. So the referee then is in contact and he sends the player off. It is quite interesting that the referee after the game, when he saw this, believed that his original yellow was the correct decision. But he didn't have the opportunity to view it because the VAR came in. And again, you know, do we think it's yellow? Do we think it's red? You've got half the room yellow and half the room red. But the question you ask yourself is, was the referee clearly wrong? Looking at that, I don't think he was clearly wrong. So I think we should go with the referee's original decision. The reason he's gone red there, slow motion. It looks horrible in slow motion. But football is not played in slow motion. Referees don't referee in slow motion. So I think football has to decide what we're going to do there. So before an incident, only the incident itself is reviewed. Goal, penalty, incident or dog, so the attacking phase which led to the incident, including gaining possession in open play, not restarts. What we're saying here is, if a goal is scored, how far back in that phase should the VAR be able to look? People have different views. If you're watching Barcelona as an example, they can pick the ball up outside their own penalty area, knock it around for the next 3 or 4 minutes, and it go into the goal at the other end. How far do you actually go back to start your review? There are those people who think you should wait until the ball comes over the halfway line. There are some people who think you should go back an amount of time before the goal is scored. So again, I think in the experiment, this is going to be a really important point to actually make. Everything happens in a run.
De NEC kan daar misschien van profiteren met de Capiotlo. God biedt zich aan. Jero God uit de draaien. NEC profiteert dat. En komt op.
So that ball, that play was started right back in that bottom right back position.
Ja, dit is natuurlijk Hens. Voor Laxel. NEC mag door. Capiotlo aan de basis. Met zijn demarrage. God, maar de man is er goed gedaan.
So sometimes maybe you're going to have to go back a long way. Like I said, that started in the right back position and ends up in a goal scored. But because a goal has been scored, it's a reviewable decision. So it's just how far back you go in reality to get the decision. This one you've seen before, clearly the left arm of the attacker going into the goalkeeper. And if you look at that top right hand corner, 94th minute, so this is a really important decision to make. I suppose the only thing from a spectator's point of view, we've had a discussion about this, is if you're going to review every goal, so when the ball goes in the net, all the supporters go up, celebrating. Our supporters going to have to now not celebrate at the beginning because they know that every goal has been reviewed. Somehow it's going to take the excitement out of a goal being scored. So we've got to think about that.
Overtreding op de keeper van 28. Je hoeft niet te kijken, het is een overtreding.
So again from this side it's very clear.
Overtreding op de keeper.
Very bright yellow whistle he's got there, isn't it? After an incident. This is important as well. Once the play is restarted, it cannot be reviewed. It has to be reviewed before play is being restarted.
Would it also sort of distinguish between own goal and if it was, like, would it say who goal?
No, that's not part of the reviewable decision. That, I think if my memory is right, that goes to a dubious goals panel, and then they decide whether it's on goal, who scored, and things like that. So that's not part of this.
Does the VAR have commentary from a generally biased commentator who half the time haven't got a bloody clue what they're talking about?
No, do you see the VAR's got the cans on?
Right.
Because that is a really good point, because we want the VAR to make the decision without any influence at all. Here's the screen, here's the screens, here is the protocol. I'm a referee and I know what I'm looking at. I don't need people in here, so they put the cans on.
So that is like thinking about it earlier with commentator, you've got Mark Warrenton or whatever talking about the game, so it's still 1974.
That's true.
So when he's saying, oh, you got the ball, we're all sat here saying, well, no, it's clearly a foul.
Yeah.
Like, is there going to be something to educate the media so that they are actually not misinforming the public and then on the referees?
We've already started that with the media. We've already started that discussion. And when it's decided when the Premier League goes live and the FA Cup, there's going to have to be a communication programme, because clearly the VAR may make a decision, like in that case, that the commentators don't agree with. So that's the point about trying to get the commentators and the media to understand that even if you play the ball, you can still have a penalty, you can still have a red card. So a player goes in, two-footed, he may get the ball, but he wipes the player out. That's still red, whether he's got the ball or not.
So do you think this, because obviously officials at the moment, there's a whole generation of football fans who just watch it on TV.
Yeah.
Never go to a game, and everything they believe is what Matt Lambson's told them. Do you think that'll take the pressure off officials a bit, because they don't have that constant berating from the press, for something you can't see?
Yeah, I think the whole idea, of the VAR is that we will get the correct decision on the ones that are clearly wrong.
Yeah.
But if you can you remember when the Premier League had the goal line technology, and Robbie Savage was commentating on one game, and the referee gave a goal because the system actually said goal, and Robbie Savage says, that's not right. I can see that's not right. And of course, the good thing about it was he was berated by everybody as being a complete idiot, the same as he is. So we just need to make sure that the media understand what the decisions are.
The scope of the decision, how it's achieved.
If you look at this one, this shows how really difficult it would be. Offside or not, inside the penalty or not, dog so or not. Right, so what the VAR will have to do here is he'll have to have a look at the offside first, because if it's offside, nothing else matters. So if it's not offside, he then looks at was it inside or outside the penalty area, and then he looks as to whether it was a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity or not. So this is a more complicated one for the VAR. The really good part about this is the players stopped. So we've got a little bit tight. So clearly wasn't offside.
Yes, he's onside. Courtois comes out, catches him.
Inside the penalty area.
I think it's right on the line or just in the box. There's the contact.
What I think for a media commentator to say, it's on the line.
Right.
So is the line part of the penalty area? Yes, it is. So it's inside the penalty area. The only thing the VAR will then need to look at is to whether it's a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, or whether it was just a yellow card. So I think what we're saying here is this is a little bit more complicated than the ones we've just been looking at.
Who is in a position to watch the penalty.
So John Terry is just the sort of person you take advice off, isn't it?
As Neale Barry is going to come on, John Terry is booked, and it's all happening at Stamford Bridge. Going to be an enormous wait here for Gomez to actually take this penalty.
Okay, so just for my own view, do you think that was a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity?
Yeah, he wasn't covering defender, but I think he'd have got a shot off without doubt.
And the thing is that his first touch took him away from goal, isn't it? And the really important part now is what we're saying is that if an attacker is going straight towards goal and the goalkeeper is coming straight out at him, unless the player goes through the goalkeeper, he has to go left or he has to go right. And some people say the minute he goes left or the minute he goes right, he's not going directly towards goal. But when you look at some of the quality of these players, you know, I can remember refereeing Arsenal and Liverpool and Thierry Henry scoring a goal from, I had no idea how he got the ball in the net. Such an acute angle. So just decisions that we've made. This one is a really good one. Right, so, penalty or not? Referee decides no penalty. Watch this now. So I think what we have to understand is that it is physically impossible for the VAR to decide whether that first one was a penalty or not in the 10.8 seconds it took to go up the other end and go in the goal. So I think sometimes we as a game have to understand that we may actually be coming back and giving a penalty at this end and chalking that goal off at that end because of the sheer speed of the break. So just basically, in summary, referee development is essential. That Confederations Cup, I don't believe, would have ever happened if there had been proper training and education. He's got a guy from Belarus as the VAR. Belarus. I mean, not only is it not a very top footballing nation, they're certainly not a very top refereeing nation, and a brand new system. It just didn't seem to work.
Yes, they don't speak very good English there.
Sorry?
Belarus didn't teach English there, so...
Yeah. And the good thing about it, if you're on FIFA, so this Belarusian will have been able to speak good English. But it's about the level of football they referee and looking very clinically at a TV screen.
Which is why they've got the news for the high leagues like the Netherlands, like the Bundesliga.
Yeah, and the Premier League coming. Yeah. And I think what people have said is that, okay, if it can work in these really top leagues, Bundesliga, Premier League, World Cup, then we should use it. But it's going to take us a bit of a while to get there. One protocol used by everyone, so each individual league and confederation can't work their own protocol out. If you're part of the experiment and you signed up, that's the protocol that everybody uses. Was the referee's decision clearly wrong? You know, sometimes we have a little bit of debate about whether the decision was right or wrong, but if it's not clearly wrong, then the VAR should not intervene. Minimum interference, maximum benefits, and that's what the message that we're really trying to get across. Many think that using video assistance for referee decisions is easy and only involves someone watching the TV and giving advice. I think we've already seen that is a little bit more complicated than it is. VAR has the potential to change behaviour and improve the integrity of the game. And this is really important, isn't it? It's like with the 2-game retrospective diving coming in for next season. You would hope that players would understand that they will be found out, they will be caught, so why do it? And hopefully we might get a little bit less of it. Simulation. Violent conduct and serious foul play. Again, if players understand that if they elbow somebody, punch somebody, they will be found out. So trying to improve the behaviour of players. And that third one, VAR will become an important weapon against match manipulation. I mean, there is so much sort of corruption in football around the world in various places. Again, if you've got a VAR, you would hope that that would stop that, because all the decisions, so as an example, referee gives a penalty when there's that gap, then the VAR will put that right. Because if you remember, I think it was in Africa somewhere where this referee gave him 4 penalties, and he was eventually banned for life from FIFA. So VARs would help with that. Some people think VARs will end all wrong decisions. Well, no, it won't. Because if it's outside the protocol, whether it's wrong. Because one of the debates from the managers was, okay, if the referee gives a corner and a goal is scored, and it should have been a goal kick, what we're going to do about that? And I think what the general view of IFAB and FIFA is, look, we can't go back and check every restart. So that means that every ball that goes out, we'd have to see whether it was a corner or a goal kick. And they said, well, what about a throw in? So you don't want to be checking every throw in to see whether the assistant referee is giving it the right or wrong way. I think people have got to understand that, you know, it's not for every single decision. Some will want more decisions included. But again, always come back to minimum interference, maximum benefit. And I think this is what people have said. It's a really daunting challenge because of the technology, because of the training and education, because of the different cultures around the world. But it is exciting because if we can get it right, then we won't have some of the really big errors affecting games, which is the really important part.